What's going on, guys? Watch with Commander here. We are here for another reaction, but this one is going to be live, and you guys will be able to chat, put your input in real time. Let's get into this. This is an Asmongold TV video that I'm reacting to. It's about the whole Trump Zelensky, Vance thing. They got into it in the Oval Office. I guess Zelensky got kicked out of the Oval Office. I would talk to my stepdad. He didn't really like uh, the way Trump and Vance handled it. I thought I saw some of it. I saw clips of it. I thought that it seemed like they were showing a lot of strength, and I like that. I think you got to be strong when you talk to these leaders. But my stepdad's opinion was like, it was too much. It was not diplomatic at all, and I don't know. Let's react to this and see what we think here. Let's go.
Yesterday.
Oh, I got it on the wrong. I gotta get it on the headset. Sorry. Okay, we're good now.
Yesterday, what I would consider a generational level crash out in the Oval Office in front of the press with everybody there. Everybody watched it.
Fever Dream
Crazy
Animation
crash
copyright
out.
says.
Crazy.
Hi,
Yes,
Carl.
this is a global
What's up,
crash
Fever Dream?
out. Man.
How you doing, man?
And now we have the fallout. Here we go. In front of the entire world. Yep, everybody got to watch this happen.
And my source tonight is the Secretary of State who is in that room today, Marco Rubio. Thank you so much, Secretary Rubio, for being here. We just heard from President Zelensky. He said he does not think that he owes President Trump an apology for what happened inside the Oval Office today. Do you feel otherwise?
I do.
I'm trying to get
you
that
guys
to-
don't see. You guys only
There
saw
we go.
the end. You saw what happened today. You don't see all the things that led up to this.
Fever
So let me
Dream
explain.
Animation copyright says.
The president's been
I'm
very clear. He
okay.
campaigned on this. He
That's
thinks
good,
this
man.
war should have never started. He believes, and I agree, that had he been president, it never would have happened. Now here we are. He's trying to bring an end to this conflict. We've explained very clearly what our plan is here, which is we want to get the Russians to a negotiating table. We want to explore whether peace is possible. They understand this. They also understand that this agreement that was supposed to be signed today was supposed to be an agreement that binds America economically to Ukraine, which to me, as I've explained, and I think the president alluded to today, is a security guarantee in its own way because we're involved. It's now us. It's our interests. That was all explained. That was all understood. And nonetheless, for the last 10 days, in every engagement we've had with the Ukrainians, there's been complications in getting that point across, including the public statements that President Zelensky has made.
See, this is what I thought was happening, is that, like, there's apparently some breakdown in communication where, like, things that are happening privately are clearly not what's happening publicly. That's what's going on. Marco said Zelensky was saying different things in meetings versus to the public. Yeah, no, I saw that. Because, like, that's the only way that I could explain it. Because, like, this...
Yeah, my
Fever
stepdad
Dream
was saying
Animation
it was like a
copyright
whole
says.
show. They were just putting on a
Zelensky is
show.
the insane dictator who only wants war.
Yeah.
See JD and Trump pop off like that out of nowhere. I was like, okay, there's got to be a reason for
What's
this.
going on,
right?
Syrup
I mean,
Feeling?
Really just
Syrup Feeling,
randomly
how you
get
doing?
mad like that? Like,
Welcome.
I don't know, maybe, right? Maybe. But still, I'd try to look for another reason at least, right? Because it just doesn't make sense to me.
But they insisted on coming to D.C. This agreement could have been signed 5 days ago, but they insisted on coming to Washington, and it was and should have been a very clear understanding. Don't come here and create a such scenario where you're going to start lecturing us about how diplomacy isn't going to work. President Zelensky took it in that direction, and it ended in a predictable outcome as a result. It's unfortunate. That wasn't supposed to be this way, but that's the path he chose. And I think, frankly,
That was the thing that my stepdad was saying that like Trump and Vance wasn't being very diplomatic, but Zelensky was like talking about how diplomacy's not going to work with Putin and all this stuff. So I don't know.
Sends his country backwards in regards to achieving peace, which is what President Trump wants at the end of the day, is for this war to end. He's been as consistent as anyone can be about what his objective is here.
But what specifically do you want to see President Zelensky apologize
Botrix
for?
has correctly joined the channel.
Apologize for turning this thing into the fiasco for him that it became. There was no need for him to go in there and become antagonistic. Look, this thing went off the rails. You were there, I believe.
To be fair, Zelensky saying that Putin is a murderer and a war criminal, it does put the United States in a bad position. And for him to say that he wants the United States to be on Ukraine's side,
Yeah.
it does damage the ability for like them to negotiate.
Yeah.
It does.
Exactly.
It's factual. It is. It's factual. And that's the problem, though, right? Is that like, I think that we all agree Putin's a piece of shit, right? For sure.
Oh, damn.
But saying it during the negotiation at the Oval Office
Right.
is going to move you farther away from getting that negotiation done.
Yeah.
Both of these things, I'm pretty sure are true. That's how I see it. That's where I'm at.
I
Maybe I'm
agree
crazy.
100%.
It went off the rails when he said, let me ask you a question to the vice president. What kind of diplomacy are you talking about? Well, this is a serious thing. I mean, thousands of people have been killed. Thousands. And he talks about all these horrible things that have happened to prisoners of war.
A lot more than
and
just
children.
thousands.
All true, all bad. This is what we're dealing with here. It needs to come to an end. We are trying to bring it to an end. The way you bring it to an end is you get Russia to the table to talk. And he understands that.
I wish that, like, I don't know if in this interview he's going to address this or not, but how the fuck do you think that Russia is going to come to the table to end this when they've broken a number of other deals in the past? Like, I mean, because that's the main concern. Like, 'cause he's not even addressing, like, why did Zelensky say that? Like, yes, Zelensky said that, but why did he say that? What, like, address the reason why.
Attacking Putin, no matter how anyone may feel about him personally, forcing the president into a position where you're trying to goad him into attacking Putin, calling him names, maximalist demands about Russia.
It's not very smart.
Fair, I think Marco Rubio makes a good point here. Is that trying to get Trump to make negative comments about Putin publicly in front of everybody is something that is kind of manipulative.
Fever Dream Animation copyright
and
says,
the thing is that he
Russia
can do
don't
that
want
because,
war. They just putting it on for Zelensky.
Or they just put it on for Zelensky. Yeah.
It's like, again, it's true, but at the same time, it could make him look bad.
To pay for the
But Trump can
reconstruction.
publicly insult Zelensky? I'm trying to just be as again, you're bringing in extra stuff. I didn't agree with Trump saying that about Zelensky either. I thought that was stupid for him to say.
Calling him, saying he's a dictator? Yeah.
I know that a lot of people, whenever I provide comments,
even if he is, Trump should have said it.
People think that I'm on one side. I'm not.
It's the same as like if you thought Putin was a piece of shit, you shouldn't say that, at least in that meeting, right?
Going to wake up and I'm going to do the same thing that I did today. My life will be relatively unchanged from any of these things. I'm looking at them as fairly as I possibly can. And if you guys think there's something I'm missing, that's fine. But don't ever convince yourself or delude yourself into me thinking this is a fucking play for points game. That's not how I look at it. And that's not how you should look at it either.
All the sorts of things that you talk about in a negotiation. Well, when you start talking about that aggressively, and the president's a deal maker, he's made deals his entire life, you're not going to get people to the table. And so you start to perceive that maybe Zelensky doesn't want a peace deal. He says he does, but maybe he doesn't. Active, open, undermining.
I think he's angry or something.
I think that Marco Rubio is completely, like, I really
He wants war
asked, like,
at this point.
Why is it a peace deal when they've broken peace deals in the past?
I think Zelensky's he's pissed about what's happened or whatever, and he's got hate in his heart or whatever, and he wants us to give us the tools, or give him the tools to be able to continue the war, right? That's what he wants. He doesn't want peace. I believe
that's the problem. The issue is that it's the definition of peace deal. He doesn't think that it is.
Yeah.
Peace is deeply frustrating for everyone who's been involved
Hopefully
in
he talks about
communications
it,
with them leading up
I'll
to
stop
today.
pausing and bring
I
up
think
that
But
we
can I
should
ask you-
apologize for wasting our time for a meeting that was going to end the way it did.
Yeah.
You yourself have said
Fever Dream
previously
Animation
that Putin cannot
copyright
be trusted
says,
in negotiations.
he wants WW3.
Yeah, and we definitely don't want that. I don't think anybody else wants that.
That was the point that President Zelensky
Smart to bring that up. It's really smart to bring that up.
he was ultimately making during that conversation, is that there cannot be an agreement without security guarantees, because he was talking about all the ceasefire agreements before, or agreements that Putin has just blown past.
Yeah.
I mean, do you still feel that way, that Putin cannot be trusted in these negotiations?
Well, I was there yesterday when the president said in front of the media that our approach is going to be trust but verify. President Trump's made deals his entire life. He's not going to get suckered into some deal that's not a real deal. We all
let's assume that's true. Ukraine in 4 years will then have this problem after Trump is gone. That's the issue. The issue is that this deal being contingent on Trump is building a castle on sand. Because the U.S. presidents rotate all of the time.
Yeah.
And again, like, I don't think that they want to take a 4-year armistice effectively for this, or ceasefire, and then immediately after the new person comes in, maybe the new person will be even more tough than Trump is. Or maybe it'll be another
Doubt
Biden.
it.
We don't know yet.
Hopefully not another
Understand
Biden.
this. We understand it on our end for certain. And so the goal here is to get to a place.
Third term?
We have to explore whether peace is possible. I've said this
Yes.
repeatedly. I don't
Forgot.
know. I
Yes,
think it
true.
is based
8
on what
years.
they've said so far. But we
By the way, we're also live on Twitter. That link that was posted on YouTube is the link to Twitter. We're also live on Twitch. It's Watch with Commander on Twitch. Watch with Commander on YouTube.
have to explore that. How else is this war going to end? I ask people, what is the European plan to end this war? I can tell you what one foreign minister told me, and
Somebody's saying I'm flip-flopping? No. What I'm doing is I'm looking at the advantages and the nuances of both perspectives. That's what I'm doing. And I think that both perspectives have weight and value. My perspective with this, just by the way, this is like my actual opinion. I think Putin will have to get something out of this deal. I don't think Putin should get something out of this deal. I think it's a pick your poison type situation. And unfortunately, we're in a place where in order to cause this problem to stop happening, we have to give something to a person that shouldn't get something. That's what my actual perspective is. That's what I think is going to happen.
I agree with that.
Just in case anybody is getting it twisted, that's what I actually think.
I'm not going to say who it was, but I can tell you what one of them told me, and that is that the war goes on for another year, and at that point, Russia will feel so weakened that they'll beg for a peace. That's another year of killing, another year of dying, another year of destruction, and by the way, not a very realistic plan in my point of view. So if there's a chance of peace, even if it's a 1% chance, that needs to be explored, and that's what President Trump is trying to do here.
Yeah.
President Trump said just when he was leaving the White House after that meeting that he doesn't think President Zelensky wants peace. But isn't that why
if it's failed 25 times, then it would be a 4% chance. That would make sense because that's Zelensky's approval rating. Right? Ironic math, isn't it?
Oh,
Ukrainian
shit.
leader was in the
That's
Oval
funny.
Office for that meeting today?
Well, he was in the Oval Office to sign a minerals rights deal. That's what he was in the Oval Office to sign today. But again, when you have comments that deliberately appear to be after having discussed this repeatedly, deliberately appear to be geared towards making the argument that peace is not possible. You know, again, he turns to the vice president. What kind of diplomacy are you talking about? Almost as if to say, these people, you can't deal with them. You can't have any negotiations with Putin because he can't be trusted and you're just wasting your time on negotiations. Well, he's directly, basically undermining everything the president has told him he's trying to do. Look, there's no need for that. You start to suspect, does he really want an end to this war? Does he just think that, we have to do whatever he says and give him anything he wants without any end game? That was the Biden strategy. We were funding a stalemate. We were funding a meat grinder. And unfortunately, for the Ukrainians, the Russians have more meat to grind. And they don't care about human life. We've seen it, human waves, the North Koreans, etc. And so this is a very complex thing. It's very delicate. It's very costly. It's very bloody. It needs to be brought to an end. But it isn't going to be brought to an end with public pronouncements and maximalist demands in the public, but in real diplomacy. The vice president was right.
When you say they don't care about life, are you talking about the Russians or the Ukrainians?
Well, the Russians, they're conscripting by the hundreds of thousands. They brought in North Korean troops that were slaughtered in Kursk, and they keep going because they got more people. That's the other fact. Look, and it's, again, we go back to the same point. I'm not going to fall into this trap of the who's bad and who's evil. People can make those conclusions. People have seen how this narrative has played out and where we are today.
Yeah, and the reason why he's not going to draw that conclusion is because there is no conclusion to draw. It's obvious who's in the wrong here. Everybody knows who's in the wrong.
Fever Dream Animation copyright says.
Not everybody.
Failed comedian becomes dictator. Wasn't it a failed artist last time this happened in human history?
Yeah, Zelensky Zelensky's a comedian. Is he a failed comedian? I thought he was successful at it, but I don't know. I don't know anything about it. But yeah, he said that it's clear that everybody knows who's in the wrong here. But like I said, my stepdad thought Trump and Vance was in the wrong, and he's like saying Vance needs to get the fuck out of there. He doesn't belong. He needs to shut his mouth. All this shit. That's what my stepdad was saying, and he voted for Trump, but he's I don't know. He's not in favor with a lot of things that Trump's doing, which I was surprised. I was definitely surprised, and I thought what the way Trump and Vance stood up to Zelensky, I thought it was pretty good. I think that had to be done. We need strong leaders in the White House.
And how this all started and so forth. The point now is it has to end. And the way it ends is you get people to a negotiating table. And the president, who's the ultimate deal maker, knows you don't get people to a negotiating table when you're calling them names and you're accusing them of things.
He's completely fucking right. He is.
Yeah.
He's absolutely right about this.
Because at the end of the day, this is not a political campaign. Okay, this is high-stakes international diplomacy and an effort to bring about an end to a very, very dangerous war.
He's right.
But you yourself, sir, have said before that you believe Putin is a war criminal, that is a widely accepted fact. You've called him a butcher. And you said that as a Secretary of State, you do believe it's important for someone with such global influence as you have to speak with that kind of moral clarity.
Yeah, and at this moment, as Secretary of State, my job working for the president is to deliver peace, to end this conflict and end this war. Ultimately, that is the job of the State Department. The State Department doesn't fight wars, it ends them. It tries to end them.
I think that's a good answer. Honestly, that's a great answer that Rubio is saying. It's like it's not his place to put his... it's not his place to put his moral judgment on this. Like, he's executing the will of the president.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. And then, he realizes this is not the time to say things like, oh, he's a war criminal, all this stuff. Like, he's trying to get peace. He's trying to do what, like he said, what the president is wanting.
I really think that Marco Rubio has been doing a really great job. Like, every interview I've seen with him, I think he's really been impressive. What do you guys think?
I think so.
I might not agree with him about everything, but
I think I like it.
Very little Marco's growing up. It's great to see, man, isn't it? Yeah, big Marco. Exactly.
And that's usually, by the way, celebrated.
Yeah.
I mean, throughout history, I've watched presidents that bring about an end to wars and conflicts, and people celebrate that. They applaud it. I think we should be very proud and happy that we have a president whose primary
this guy's,
is not to get
I swear to God, he's got like endless Dr. Peppers. Oh, shit.
Wars, but to prevent wars and to get out of wars. That is a very
I guess I got endless bangs,
though. Everyone should be applauding it, and he should be given the space to do that, not undermined by demands that he call Putin names or that we say things that impede the ability to conduct real diplomacy, as the vice president said today.
Yeah, it's not pragmatic to call Putin a war criminal in the middle of negotiating with
Putin. Not now. Now's not the time.
Pragmatic.
Yeah.
Even if it's true.
To follow up on what you just said a moment ago, are you saying
Fever
that
Dream
you
Animation
have doubts
copyright
that
says,
President Zelensky wants?
Didn't they say same stuff about what a danger Hussein was, and look how that went.
Saddam Hussein? Yeah, he got bombed the fuck out of, yeah.
Wants this war to come to an end?
What I have doubts about is whether he's willing to say and do the things that we need in order to get a negotiation. Again, you guys, this has been going on for 10 days. And, to see things in the press saying we're not coordinating with the Ukrainians, that's absolutely false. Over the last 10 days, the Ukrainians have met with the Secretary of Commerce, the Secretary of State, the Vice President of the United States.
Somebody says it's pragmatic to call Zelensky a dictator. I personally don't think so. I wish Trump didn't say that. I thought it was stupid for him to have said that. And I criticized that when it happened.
Yeah, I
Is
mean,
that fair?
I think it's hard to make peace when you rile the guy up like that. I agree with that.
I'm not like
by calling him a dictator, he's probably going to be pissed off about that.
Yeah, nope, never said that. Yeah, I never said that.
Fever Dream Animation copyright says, yes, and his removal caused a power vacuum.
I talked to the foreign minister of Ukraine 3 times in the last 10 days. the argument that we're not engaging, but yet you keep reading these press accounts about, oh, well, they're leaving us out. We're not involved. We're not engaged. None of these things are true, and it continues. So all that led up to today in a deep sense of frustration. And my hope is that this all can be reset.
Yeah, I think that this was a tip of the iceberg. And I think that a lot of private communications, it's very obvious. The private communications were probably, like, I bet what we saw in the Oval Office has happened probably 30 times.
Maturity can kick in, some pragmatism, because this war tonight, people will die in Ukraine. Tonight, people will die in this conflict. We're trying to bring an end to this conflict, which is unsustainable. It's an unsustainable, bloody war that has to come to an end. And right now, the only leader in the world that can even have a chance of bringing about an end to this is named President Donald Trump. And we need to give him the opportunity to try and do that. And when you see efforts to impede it, when you tell someone, don't say, let's not talk about these things, let's not go in this direction, because it makes it harder for us to engage.
So is he saying that they tried to tell Zelensky, I think he's implying, right, that like they tried to tell Zelensky ahead of time, let's not escalate things and let's just get this done. Who knows whether that's true or not, but it seems like that's what he's implying.
Insist on doing it anyways, you start to wonder. I don't like to impugn people's motives, but you start to wonder what's behind it. So look, again, let's hope that this...
And to be fair, right, if they did tell him that, and then he did go off script intentionally, would you be pissed?
Yeah. Fuck yeah.
If I were them, I would be pissed. Because now you're basically farming, right? You're like, I really hate to use this term because I feel like it's so diminutive, but it's like you're basically clip farming, right? You're looking for a sound bite or something to say the right thing that like the media will see and see that you're the right person. They're intentionally throwing oil on the fire. Yeah, basically. I mean, clip farming is like a massive under exaggeration, but I hope you guys can understand the essence of what I'm trying to get at here.
But I'm not sure after today.
You don't believe that this can be, you're not sure that this can be salvaged? I mean, can this relationship between Zelensky and Trump be repaired in your view?
Ill-advised expedition says,
I think anything is possible,
best viewers on streambo.com, remove the space, VOLNQ9DF.
This is
don't do that. You're banned. Sorry.
Like, I don't know. I like, as I said, it was like the Train and Mitch thing earlier. Like, yeah, easy. It's not a big deal.
President Trump is interested in being involved in this for the purposes of bringing about an enduring and lasting peace. That's what he wants to achieve. And I think if I'm a country, that's involved in a war with a bigger country, who's losing thousands of people, who's had 3 million people leave my country because they can't be there.
That's fucking crazy.
Is facing these challenges. I would be thanking a president who's trying to help bring about an end to this war. I would be thanking him, and I would be supportive of what he's trying to do, at least in my public pronouncements and in my public posture. And we didn't see that today, and we haven't seen that for the last few days. Now, will that change? I hope so. It should, for the purposes of global peace and stability in Europe and around the world.
Do you think you can make the argument that he hasn't said thank you?
Well, I think the vice president said he hadn't said it today. He hadn't heard it today in that meeting, and we were hoping that meeting would begin by thank you for everything you've done for us. We wouldn't be where we are today without you. We wouldn't even have a chance.
This is a pointless. This, in my opinion, this is all politics and like posturing. This entire point about saying thank you is just, I think it's stupid and patronizing to Zelensky. That's my opinion. It's stupid and patronizing.
To negotiate a peace without the help you gave us. By the way, without the help you gave us when you were president.
I mean, he should. To be fair, he should be grateful, though. So we've done a lot for him, right?
In the first term, because President Obama refused to provide them defensive capabilities in terms of military hardware. He did provide them.
But I don't know if they should have said, hey, you never said thank you. Should they have done that? Should they have looked past it, maybe? I don't know. What do you think?
Blankets.
Yeah, and that was brought up today during that meeting.
But it was brought up, and I was there. In fact,
by the way, I also want to say real quick, I think 2 things are true. And again, there's a lot. I feel like it might be confusing for some people to watch this because, like, I'm kind of arguing on both sides. I think Zelensky should have opened with a thank you. I think he should have, but I think calling it out.
It would have been nice. Yeah, calling it out was not necessary.
Like, I think
should have looked past it.
True. He did. Yeah, and so there's the thing. And, like, that's the interesting thing is that people said that he did. I didn't see the beginning of that. Can somebody, for those of you guys that are saying that he did, can you find a clip of that so I can see it and my mods can show it to me? Because like I wasn't able to watch the entire thing. There were no videos of it. Because I didn't see that at all. So if you can link it to my mod, that would be really helpful. And I can pull it up and I'll watch it right now because I didn't see that.
Recall at the time Vice President Biden saying to me in a meeting that we had at the Vice President's residence that the reason why we didn't want to provide them those weapons is because they might use them. That was his exact quote. And that was the attitude. I remember clearly then the Ukrainian leaders saying, we don't need more blankets or MREs. We need weapons to defend ourselves. And they didn't do it. President Trump did. He provided them weaponry, some of it, much of it, which was used at the beginning of this war. And without those weapons being in their stocks, this war could have been over very quickly, 2, 3, 4 days. Another pot shot that Zelensky took today, when the president pointed that out, you know what Zelensky said? He said, yeah, we've heard that from the Russians. That's not a Russian narrative. That was the official position. Okay, of the United States. I vividly recall being briefed by leaders in the Biden administration telling us that this war was going to be over in 5 to 6 days. They believed that. That was their assessment at the time.
5 to 6 days?
Yeah. I know what he's talking about. I was trying to remember. Yeah, and also, by the way, I thought that too. And am I the only one? Because if you go back to like whenever this first happened, like I didn't cover it really hard because I think, again, Elden Ring came out on the same day. So I was focusing more on that. But even then, like I did talk about it a little bit, and I thought Russia was going to just roll them the fuck over. And so I could see how, like, yeah, Trump would be pissed off if you try to act like Trump's repeating Russian
Fever
propaganda.
Dream Animation copyright says,
like, that's what I thought
think
too,
optics
like,
of Zelensky's bargain basement outfit showed his level of disrespect.
Yeah. Bargain basement outfit. Yeah, I don't get it, man. Everywhere that guy goes, he's never wearing a suit. It's always just some casual shit. And somebody said something about the shirt he was wearing was like $5,000. Do you believe that shit? What the hell is a $5,000 shirt anyway? Didn't look like it.
Just thought that was it.
And it wasn't the case because of the weapons that Ukraine had in stocks because of President Trump in his first term. So he should have been grateful for that and grateful for what we're doing now. And one more point. It's not just President Trump. There's news reports out there from NBC News, at least as one of the...
I want to just take a second here. One of my mods got me a link to the clip of him saying thank you. I want to watch it real quick, okay?
An honor to have you, and please, I'd like to say something.
No, thanks so much, Mr. President. Thank you for the invitation. And
an honor to have
All right, so thanks for the invitation. So that's what he's saying, thank you, not saying thank you for all the support that you have done for Ukraine. Thank you for trying to arrange this peace deal. So that's not what he's saying. He's just said thank you for the meeting, basically.
I think that, okay, so this is like a really, really stupid fine point, is that he said thank you for having me, but not thank you for the help. That's probably what JD Vance meant.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for the invitation. Yeah. So it's like, it's a yes and no.
Mm-hmm.
And it also did, like, that clip ended right then, so he could have said more. Maybe we could get a better clip. Give me 1 second.
Fever Dream Animation copyright says, it looks like the clothing they sell in Dollar Dump for under $10.
Is there a place called Dollar Dump? what a name for a store. $10.
Yeah. He still thanked them. This is the lamest thing ever. Yeah. But like you can see, like, I think again, it's such a stupid issue.
Yeah.
Am I crazy for thinking that this is like such a stupid issue to what are we even doing talking about this? It's so stupid.
Place I recall reporting that Biden had a shouting match with Zelensky for not being grateful and not being thankful for everything that was provided back in 2022. Now, that didn't happen in front of the press. That was leaked, but it got out there. These frustrations are not unique to President Trump. There was those frustrations in the previous administration, if NBC News is to be believed.
Right. But obviously we've never seen anything like what we saw today. But the point that Zelensky was making there is that everyone predicted...
I find it hard to believe that Biden yelled at Zelensky.
his demise, and Ukraine was able to fight and to survive. Zelensky was able to survive. The Ukrainian people have been fighting for 3 years. You yourself have said previously that the United States should assist Ukraine as long as the Ukrainians are willing to fight. So I think the question coming out of that meeting is what happens next year? I mean, you are the U.S. chief diplomat. Is there a path for diplomacy? Is a ceasefire still a possibility tonight?
Well, number one, you know who else said that Ukraine is very brave and very valiant? President Trump. He said it today. He said it repeatedly. Your soldiers have been very brave. Your fighters have been very brave.
Yeah,
your people have been very brave.
It's true.
He said that.
And that was I think that was a very nice compliment. You know, he didn't have to say all that. But it is facts. Fucking Ukrainian people are fucking nuts. They've done well, you know, for what they have, you know, to fight against Russia and to, you know, hold back Russia as much as they've done. Yeah, they've done well, but they can't win this. It's gonna be, you know, they're gonna lose eventually.
That repeatedly. And everyone recognizes that. But we're 3 years into a war that has no end in sight and no exit strategy. The EU doesn't have an exit strategy. I saw the comments tonight from the leader of the EU saying there needs a new leader of the free world. I mean, these people are
Fever
just playing
Dream Animation copyright says,
things. What is their exit
Biden probably got confused and thought it was a burglar.
Oh, shit.
Strategy. What is anybody else's exit strategy? The only person on the planet who is actively trying to bring an end to this conflict is named Donald Trump, the President of the United States. He's the only one that's trying to do it, and we should be helping him to achieve it. And so do I think it's possible? Yeah, I hope it's possible, because that's what we do try to do at the Department of State, is we try to bring end to conflicts, not start new ones, and certainly not extend them.
Senator Lindsey Graham, after having lunch with President Trump today, said Zelensky either needs to resign or they need to send someone over that we can do business with. Do you feel that President Zelensky needs to resign?
Well, that's Lindsey's feeling, because he feels very passionately. You know, he's been a very strong supporter of Ukraine. Lindsey Graham has been one of the strongest voices for Ukraine. Well, the United States, the president's taken no position on that. What he said today is, let him come back when he's ready to do peace. That's what he said. Let him come back when he's ready to do peace. So I can't speak for what anybody else said. I can only go off the words from the president of the United States, and that is, today, this is not going to be productive any further. When Zelensky's ready to make peace and he's serious about peace, let him come back then. And that's when we'll re-engage with them. And what he means by that is, when he understands...
And how will you measure that?
Well, I think it's everything I've said already. And that is, how are you going to get Vladimir Putin and the Russian Federation to a table to discuss even the opportunity, even to explore whether there's an opportunity for peace? You're not going to do it by calling them names. It makes everybody feel very good. You can pass resolutions. You can put out very strongly worded statements. Senators can do it. I did when I was in the Senate. House.
Yeah, he means capitulation. That's exactly what he means. And somebody did link me this. Attili linked me this.
Okay. See it.
Good morning. Thank you so much.
Big team.
Important visit to the United States and Washington. Met with a bipartisan delegation to the U.S. Senate. Discussions focused on continued military assistance for Ukraine, relevant legislative initiatives. We've taken pride in strategic partners, and we're grateful for the unwavering bicameral and bipartisan support for Ukraine.
Did Zelensky write that? Couldn't see, it was a little blurry.
Thank you very much. Thank you so much.
It's a lot of thank you.
Happy to see you. We know each other. It's not the first meeting, and I'm very proud that Ukraine has such big strategic, even not only partner, friend like the United States. So we are very thankful for this.
We're here today as a show of support. We have committee chairs.
Again, I just think the entire thankful thing is total fucking like.
It was unnecessary to mention it.
Fucking red herring. Total fucking red herring. Entirely fucking irrelevant. Like, it was just a complete waste of time.
Mm-hmm. If anything, it just escalated things.
Commentators can do it, and countries that have no real skin in the game can do it. But when you are the president of the United States of America and you're trying to bring about peace the way Donald Trump is trying to bring about peace, the only way to do it is you have to create space for people to come to the table and talk. And that is something we should all be applauding, not criticizing. And not pretending that we can just extend this war forever until and that everybody has unlimited resources to continue to fund it on both sides, by the way.
And President Zelensky has said he does want this war to end. He just cares about how it ends. We heard that from the other European leaders who came to the Oval Office also this week.
Course.
President Trump said to me today, before that shouting match erupted in the Oval Office, that he doesn't believe there have to be security guarantees in place before the ceasefire, that you can come to a ceasefire agreement and then put those in place. Do you agree with that?
That's not what he said. What he said is, why am I going to be talking about security guarantees? Let me get a peace deal first, is what he said. That doesn't mean they can't happen as part of that negotiation, but you have to have an agreement. What peace is there to secure if you first don't have an agreement on peace?
No shit.
What do the Russians need in order to end this conflict?
So you're saying it would happen as part of the negotiations?
Well, again, how do you end a war? You have to find out what the combatants require in order to stop shooting at each other. What are the Russians' needs?
Yeah.
What do they need to see in order for them to stop fighting? What do the Ukrainians need in order to stop fighting? And then once you have that in place, then you can decide the next step, which is, and what do we need to do to make sure this never happens again? That it doesn't happen in 2 years, 3 years, 5 years. I don't think President Trump is interested
Surely
in a
it won't
one-year
happen again.
ceasefire. I don't think he's interested in a 6-month ceasefire. He wants this thing to end. He has said that repeatedly. But again, he's not going to use the kind of language that maybe plays well in the public sphere or in the political sphere for people that want to take shots at him, but it's not going to allow us to have a negotiation or even to explore a potential negotiation. President Donald Trump is a man who's made deals his entire life in business, and he's bringing those principles to government, and he's the only one in the world that has any chance. If Donald Trump tomorrow decides, I don't care about Ukraine, I don't care about Russia, and I don't care about this war, and he walks away, I ask you, I ask everyone, well, who on this planet has any chance whatsoever, even a 1% chance of getting the combatants to the table? The answer is there is no one. He is the only one on earth right now that has any chance. If there is a chance at peace, he's the only one that has a chance to deliver on
China, maybe? I don't know.
Do you still see a meeting happening with President Putin there, President Zelensky, and President Trump? Is that still possible?
All three of them together?
Well, I think that's premature. I mean, what would they? You first need to make sure that this is even a possibility, and you have to explore it. And look, there's good signs, I think, maybe, somewhat about at least the Russians' willingness to engage. And but we have to explore all that. But that's not going to be done in front of cameras. It's not going to be done in an open ballroom. There's a lot of work to be done before we get to this point. This is a complex war that has causes behind it that go back a number of years. There's a lot to navigate. A lot has been invested on both sides. Gains have been made by the Russian Federation in some places. All of these things have to be worked through, but it's not going to be done through press conferences and in the media. It has to be done through what the vice president said today,
closed door meeting
work of diplomacy. It's a lot easier to just say, well, we're with Ukraine all the way, no matter what, however long it takes. Well, 15 years, 12 years? I mean, that's absurd. That's not sustainable, and everybody knows it. The president.
I think also, like, what he's saying here is something that a lot of Americans feel. Especially after, like, what happened in the Middle East and, like, us being entangled there for 20 years.
Jesus.
I think that there's a very, very big worry that if we don't end this and get out of it, it's just going to continue going on indefinitely. And I feel like a lot of, like, again, this is, like, these are people, like, it's like that guy, right? The guy was, like, mainly joking around, fucking around about how, like, I don't care about Russia, Ukraine, or whatever. But, like, that essence is accurate. I think that's the way that a lot of people feel, is that they don't give a fuck about any of these countries because they can't afford food. They can't afford rent. Right?
Yeah, facts.
And so when they see that
gotta take care of us,
signing up, we're basically writing a blank check to a foreign country to help them fight off Russia, this is going to rub a lot of Americans the wrong way, because Americans want the American government to operate in their best interest. And I understand that you can maybe make an argument that, like, foreign, diplomacy and foreign intervention has, like, a long-term positive impact, but that argument doesn't work on a person who can't afford their rent. It just simply does not work on them. And so that's the big problem, and I think that's the reason why, like, that's the reason why they're pushing back on it so much. Americans voted
Fever
for the
Dream
president,
Animation
the president made
copyright
deals.
says,
How are you just running?
charity starts at home.
Right. Exactly. Help the people here. Help, clean up the streets, get the homeless off the fucking street. Not talking about illegals. Get them out of the country. Help the American citizens that are on the streets, veterans that are on the streets. I know that old veterans get treated really poorly, and that ain't good.
Running from it? Well, I don't know, right? I have no idea. Politics comes second to food insecurity? Yeah. That's absolute facts. Yeah. We'd rather send billions, skill people overseas, yet our veterans rot and die in the streets fighting for scraps.
Yeah,
I mean, like,
that's what I just said.
in some cases, I think that is the way that a lot of people feel. That is. So you need more money to lower the rent? Yeah, I think the idea is that the amount of money, like, so basically, the military grade weapons and everything that were sent over to Ukraine, these were things that probably were paid for indirectly by American tax dollars.
What people don't realize is money that comes to us or comes back to us. It is actually helpful to drive down inflation and lower prices of everything, just about. You know, I made a point to my mom about it, about the $5,000 Doge checks, and she's like, oh, everybody's gonna get those, even those people that are not working. And I said, no, no, they said that those checks will be going to people who actually paid taxes. You know what I'm saying? And it'll help, the hardworking Americans who've paid taxes, and then that money will go back into the economy, stimulate the economy, drive down prices and inflation.
And so, yeah, people want
So
those.
I'm all for those $5,000 Doge checks. And if you think about it, they're just taking 20% of the money that they're gonna find. You know, with all the corruption and money we've been sending overseas, basically wasting our money and lying to us about how the money is being spent, you know, they're going to get that money back and they're going to give us 20% of it. And then my mother's like, well, what about our deficit or whatever? I'm like, well, fucking 80% of that's going to the deficit, so.
Those American tax dollars to go towards something else. And so is it really that crazy to imagine that people think that? Directly? In some cases, it is directly. I was just trying to be diplomatic about this.
Wants to end this war. He wants to explore whether there's a possibility to do it and do it quickly. He campaigned on it. It was a promise of his, and he intends to when he says these things, he doesn't just say them, he means them. And he's doing it. And it's the first time we've seen that in a long time in American politics.
Secretary Marco Rubio, thank you for your time tonight and joining us on such a historic day. I really do appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think Rubio gave a great interview here. I'm going to be honest. I think he really cooked. He brought up a number of good points, and there's the video right there.
I like what he
said. I wanted to watch it and kind of bring it up.
It's good.
Now, as I said, I'm a pretty big supporter of Ukraine. I have been for a while, and I think that Zelensky's concerns are very legitimate. But I think this is a situation where there is no moral good answer.
I want the war to end too. I actually met some Ukrainian people, and they were very nice, friendly people. They're just like us. They're human beings. And there was this lady, she's a real nice lady, and I was asking her if she had family back in Ukraine still, and she said, yeah, she has all her brothers. She has a bunch of brothers that are fighting in the war, and she like teared up and like damn near started crying in front of me, man. And I felt so fucking horrible for that lady.
There's no moral good solution. There are just different shades of gray. And I think that, like pushing for a moral good solution in the public's eye could have probably rubbed Trump and Vance the wrong way. And it seems like obviously they're having, a breakdown in communication between what's being discussed privately and then what's being displayed to the media. And I think that that's really why things blew up so much yesterday. That's really where I think things are coming out of. And I see our DMs in the future. Ukrainian here, 3 years of complete corruption. Around 93 of those arrested were released on bail and then left the country, men being kidnapped. I don't know anything about that. I cannot even begin to even think about it. Yeah, I have no idea. So yeah, seriously though, the USA is not top 5 GDP to give Ukraine compared to EU countries. Do you think US tax money is going to Ukraine? Well, it's undeniable that U.S. tax money is going towards Ukraine.
There was something that my stepdad did bring up. So when we're sending like bombs and weapons over to Ukraine, he said that we're sending old shit that we need to like, I guess it costs money to decommission those things, the bombs and stuff, like disarm them or whatever, or explode them somewhere. He said it costs a lot of money because we have, environmental, protection agencies and all these different permits and all these things we need. And he said just sending it over to Ukraine is how we can get rid of the bombs and shit, and it saves us a lot of money. That's what he said. And I thought it was an interesting point. I don't know what you guys think of it. So.
It's undeniable. Of course it is. Absolutely it is. What do you mean? Yes, like obviously. Now you're saying that there's not a lot going to Ukraine. Okay, fine. That's okay. But you're still not going to find people that are going to be happy about that, right? I don't know. I don't really see, again, dude, you don't know so much about it. Why are you so pro-Ukraine? Because I think that Russia is the aggressor. I think that they are an existential threat. And
yeah, they're definitely aggressive.
Attacking Ukraine like that.
They attacked Ukraine. They came into their territory. It's not the other way around. Ukraine wasn't going into Russia.
After them annexing Crimea and breaking multiple deals is a pattern of behavior that's negative.
To be fair, though, I think wasn't most of the reason why this whole thing started was because Ukraine was trying to join up with NATO. And that was another thing we were talking about. I was talking with my stepdad about it. Is there needs to be like a buffer zone between superpowers and shit. And Russia doesn't want Ukraine to join NATO because then there's no buffer zone. There's like basically like the enemy's right there. I don't know if Russia really considers NATO enemy. I guess they probably do. So then the enemy's right there on their border, and Ukraine was like supposed to be a neutral territory, right? So that's I think that's a big reason why the war started, why they came into Ukraine. But they definitely came into their territory and attacked first. I mean, I don't know. I mean, you can think about it many different ways.
Fever Dream Animation copyright says, stuff like that expires, but providing Ukraine with it is stepping into the war.
Exactly. Yeah. I don't think I liked it that we're giving stuff. It's like we're committing an act of war against Russia by doing that. So, yeah. No, I think I wish we'd stay more neutral and yes, keep pushing for getting a peace deal. But yeah, my stepdad's talking about how we send the bombs over there to save money. Yeah, we save money, but we risk making a world war. Like, isn't that part of like instigating the world war?
And I think also the Russian government and Putin is completely corrupt. That's the reason why. I think that they're bad actors. It's really that simple.
How long has Putin been a president?
I mean, I don't know. Like that's
many like decades or some
Ukraine
shit.
Is perfect, right? I've heard that Ukraine has corruption problems, same as we do, and other countries do. Maybe even worse.
Am I wrong? I feel like he's been president for like 2 or 3 decades.
Than ours, right? I mean, I have no idea, but I'm saying that that's my opinion with Russia.
All right.
Here's what's.
Oh shit, we got some Joe Rogan. Interesting. All right. Anyway, who knows? Maybe we react to this one at some point. I don't know. Anyway, what do you guys think about it? Let me know in the comment section there on YouTube. We are streaming on YouTube, Twitter, aka X, and Twitch at the same time. Just so you guys know, I am Watch with Commander on YouTube. And this, with the spaces, right? And then on Twitch, it's Watch with Commander with no spaces. And then on X, we're Watch with
Fever Dream Animation copyright says, they don't have same style term limits there.
The at name might be Social Media Grow Show on X. It might be that. I'll see about maybe changing it to Watch with Commander, but we'll see. They don't have the same term limits there. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I feel like the term limit is really big. Like he's been president for a long time. Putin has, I don't know how many years. I mean, I guess we could ask Grok real quick. Let's see what Grok says. How many years has Putin been president? Let's see what it says. As of March 2nd, Vladimir Putin has been the president approximately 21 years across his multiple terms. Jesus, dude. 21 years. That's insane. Is Vladimir Putin the richest man in the world? I've heard that before. I've heard people said that he's richer, way richer than Elon. Let's see what it says. No definite proof that Vladimir Putin is the richest man in the world, as his exact net worth remains speculative and unverifiable. Official records from Kremlin state that Putin earns a modest annual salary of 140K and owns minimal assets like an 800 square foot apartment, a trailer, and a few cars. However, many experts and critics argue his wealth could be vastly higher, potentially making him one of the richest individuals alive. Estimates of Putin's fortune vary wildly. Financier Bill Browder, a prominent critic, claimed in 2017 that Putin might be worth $200 billion based on allegations that he extracts wealth from Russian oligarchs and state assets. If true, the world or this would exceed the net worth of current billionaires like Elon Musk, $421.6 billion as of recent Forbes estimates, or Jeff Bezos at $181 billion. Other estimates, like those from political analysts, Stanislav, I'm not going to say his last name, pegged Putin's wealth at 70 billion, placing him among the world's elite. These figures stem from alleged ownership of luxury assets, palaces, yachts, jets, and vests, watch collection, plus indirect control of billions through proxies, as suggested by leaks like the Panama Papers. Panama Papers. What does he have to do with Panama? Forbes, the go-to source for billionaire rankings, doesn't list Putin because it can't verify his assets with concrete evidence, and it typically excludes head of state. The challenge is that Putin's supposed wealth isn't held openly in his name, but is rumored to be concealed through a web of associates, shell companies, and state-linked enterprises. The occupancy makes it impossible to confirm whether he surpasses publicly tracked billionaires. So, is he the richest? He might be, but it's educated guesswork, not fact. His power as Russian leader gives him access to immense resources, which blurs the line between personal and state-controlled wealth. Without hard data like bank records or assets titles in his name, it's a question that can't be answered definitively. Compare that to Musk or Bezos, whose fortunes are tied up to transparent stock valuations, and Putin's status remains a murky maybe. Interesting. So he might be the richest man in the world, and we don't know. Anyway, yeah, what do you guys think about this whole discussion? Let me know down in the comment section. This is going to go up on YouTube. You guys can watch it again. You can leave comments later if you want. And it's Watch with Commander on YouTube. Thank you guys so much. Be sure to smash up the like button, share it out. And we'll see you guys soon. We'll do more live reactions like this. I think it was fun. Just wish more people showed up, but this is the first one. So we'll see how it goes. Have a good day, and peace out.